Rockstar might be walking into the biggest storm any game studio has ever faced. And I'm not talking about all the usual stuff. Times have drastically changed, and the world is primed and looking for a fight. And honestly, this might be a real problem for not just GTA, but the future of gaming in general. I'm Sav, this ain't your average YouTube clickbait, let's dive in. Now, Rockstar didn't accidentally end up in this mess. From day one, they wanted to be the studio that went too far, the place that made games that they wanted to play. There was always this underground, slightly sketchy vibe baked into everything that they made, and they loved it. With every game, they went bigger, more shocking, more culturally relevant. But by the time GTA 5 came out, it was a worldwide event that destroyed sales records. It became one of the most profitable entertainment releases ever. But being a legend comes with a price. And back in 2004, GTA San Andreas had a spicy minigame hidden in the code that PC modders found and unlocked. It was called the Hot Coffee mod. Most of you probably know about it. Next thing you know, news shows are running clips, parents are losing their minds, and politicians are waving the game box around at hearings like it's evidence at a murder trial. The ratings board freaked out and slapped it with an adults-only content rating, and stores pulled it off shelves. Rockstar actually had to scramble to release a fixed version of the game just to get it back in stores. And then there was Manhunt, a horror stealth game where you play as a death row prisoner forced to kill people on camera for some psycho making snuff films. But when the media linked it to a real murder in the UK, which is ridiculous and incredibly disingenuous, the outrage exploded, and by the time Manhunt 2 came out, the game got chopped up and censored so badly that in some places fans said it barely felt like the same game. And this is going to come into play later. And then Bully was almost the opposite situation. It was a fun, cartoonish boarding school game where you play as a bully, but the second people heard Rockstar is making a game based in a school, the media jumped straight to panic mode. They treated it like it was a training simulator for child-on-child violence before anyone even had a chance to play it. There were serious attempts to ban it, lawsuits, TV warnings to parents. Even though it had a teen rating and didn't let you do half the stuff people were panicking about. Boomers, gotta love them. Fast forward to GTA 5 and the by-the-book mission, specifically the torture scene, you're forced to interrogate a captured guy using different torture tools. Naturally, people lost it, and Rockstar got destroyed in the press for making a torture simulator.
Bring me my coffee, I'm gonna cut your arm off.
If you think Rockstar learned their lesson and got scared of controversy at this point, you'd be completely wrong. Now, they did make small fixes when they absolutely had to. They patched out the hot coffee stuff, they toned down Manhunt 2 in certain countries, but they didn't change what the games were actually saying. They didn't apologize for any of the content. They just lawyered up and waited for the anger to die down and then went right back to grinding out the next game. And this proved one thing. Rockstar is not interested in playing nice just because people get uncomfortable. If anything, the controversy is all baked into the plan. Now, back in the PS2 days, controversy moved a lot slower. A story would break, some talking heads would yell about violent games in the news, maybe there'd be government hearings, and then everyone would forget about it and move on. Now, well, it's completely different. A 5-second GTA 6 clip without context can hit TikTok, get shared on X, and end up in 3 different YouTube reaction videos before lunchtime on launch day. These social media algorithms figured out that angry people keep scrolling, so the loudest, most extreme opinion about any scene spreads the fastest. And games, especially GTA, are still the easiest thing to blame, even though research for years has shown that the link between games and real violence is super weak at best. Every time something terrible happens, it's easier to point at a video game than talk about mental health, better parenting, or anything really actionable. So that's what GTA 6 is walking into. And now you add the culture war on top of that, and you can start to see what I'm talking about here. On one side, you got fans that are terrified that GTA 6 is going to be too woke. All because GTA 6 confirmed a Latina female co-lead named Lucia, and reports say that Rockstar is being more careful with stereotypes and jokes than they were before. Nobody really knows what that means yet, but for a lot of fans, that feels like betrayal. I mean, GTA is supposed to be rude and offensive, right? It's supposed to make people squirm. Toning stuff down and being careful about who gets made fun of, well, that feels like putting GTA in handcuffs. A good friend of mine and fellow YouTuber Bogan Bav made a whole video about this Lucia stuff recently. It's a banger. The link's in the description. I definitely recommend going and checking it out. But the big fear here is a safe GTA game, a game that actually looks edgy but never really upsets anyone, where we make fun of everyone quietly becomes we don't really make fun of anyone anymore. But on the flip side, other people are worried about the exact opposite. They don't want Rockstar using the we mock everyone as an excuse to punch down at minorities and marginalized groups. It's the whole South Park problem. If you claim to offend everyone equally, you never really have to stand for anything. Speaking of standing for something, the culture war alone would be a nightmare, but GTA 6 has yet another problem. This problem.
Union memberships are right. Stay sorry. Be nice. Stand up for what
The GTA series is all about broken systems, corrupt cops, shady businessmen, institutions that screw people over and call it progress. The whole point is to fight the system because for a lot of folks, the system feels rigged. But while Rockstar has been making GTA 6, more people have started asking them one brutal question. If your whole brand is calling out exploitation, what does it mean when you're the exploiter? In 2018, news broke about extreme crunch at Rockstar during the development of Red Dead Redemption 2. People were apparently working 55 to 60-hour work weeks or more to finish the game. The backlash was big enough that Rockstar publicly promised to fix things and treat their workers better. Well, fast forward to 2025 and dozens of GTA 6 developers in the UK and Canada are all getting fired. Rockstar says it's for gross misconduct and related to leaking confidential stuff. The union representing those workers calls it obvious union busting and starts protesting outside Rockstar's offices, saying that the company completely broke the law. So now you have this extra layer of irony. On screen, GTA is all about fighting greedy corporations and broken systems, and off-screen, Rockstar is being accused of being that greedy corporation running a broken system. Oof. Now, on top of all that, there's this new layer that nobody was really dealing with back in the San Andreas days. Governments are actually starting to treat mature content on the internet like controlled substance. If a website shows anything that looks like adult content, a lot of places now want hard age checks, ID scans, or full-on blocks. And the line between adult content and mature gaming content is getting blurrier every day. GTA 6 lives right in that danger zone. Realistic strip clubs, sex, violence. It's the exact kind of thing that politicians can point at when they want to look tough on protecting your children, even if it means messing with what adults can play in their free time. So this is why I reached out to somebody who actually lives in that space. You guys all know Cyberboy. He covers a lot of GTA 6 content all the time. But on his Cyberwaffle channel, he actually breaks down digital privacy and age verification rules. And these new online safety laws that could hit gamers way harder than people realize is something that I wanted to talk to him about. Now, this is going to be a separate video on its own because it's about a 20 or 30 minute long conversation, but I'm going to play some of the more interesting bits of the conversation here for you guys because it's relevant to the video. You know, seeing all these headlines about age verification laws popping up everywhere, like it's not just the obvious stuff, right? But now they're talking about games too. What's happening here? Like where are we at?
If I start with the UK, there's something called the Online Safety Act, which means that content, whether it's games, movies, TV, magazines, whatever it might be, if it's deemed to be for people over the age of 18, they've now added regulation where you need to kind of scan a copy of your passport, your driving license, or biometric data like a face scan to prove you're of age. It's basically spreading to the whole world, and there's a few European countries that now have it too.
What should people actually be worried about? Like, what's the real risk that nobody's really talking about as it relates to the, you know, this new identity verification laws?
Well, the big part of it is data collection. When you start having mass data collection of things like identification documents, you start presenting risks of kind of like a big honeypot for, you know, cyber criminals to access and hack. And this has actually led to a lot of people using VPNs to get around these various pieces of legislation. Now, if you're an adult and you're legally accessing these websites by using VPNs, that is perfectly legal and not just gets around these regulations, but it's also beneficial to you because your privacy goes through an encrypted tunnel through a VPN. Your data goes through an encrypted tunnel, so you are retaining more privacy than otherwise.
I know you've been working a lot with private internet access lately, right?
Yeah.
Would that be a good option for people like that are looking to kind of, you know, avoid having to put all their personal information on the internet to access some of this content?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways you can go about this. There's the private internet access one, which is the link down below. We'll put it down there so you guys can check it out. Also help support me and Sav, so go and check that link out. That's a paid VPN, which works out at a couple of dollars a month. You get 4 months free and 86% off by using that link, and they don't keep any logs or anything, so that's good.
That's actually a really great deal.
It is a really good deal. Really good deal. Like every time I say it, I'm like, that's actually really good value. It's not a problem that we can ever really get around. The problem is what is deemed as grossly offensive.
If you want to watch the whole interview with Cyberboy, click the link in the description, or even better, watch to the end of this video and then use the link on the end screen. I make it so easy for you guys. Seriously, why don't you subscribe already and hit the like button? I mean, what's going on? Anyway, back to the video. So hearing it from someone who actually tracks those laws, it kind of confirms the worst case scenario. In addition to Rockstar fighting to survive reviews and culture wars, they're also trying to ship GTA 6 into a world where platforms and governments might literally decide how much of that game you're allowed to see. And when you stack that on top of the expectations that gamers have and 10 years of hype, that tightrope starts looking like a razor blade. And all this would already make GTA 6 a nightmare for any studio, but this isn't just another big game release. People are calling it a cultural event that'll be bigger than some of the largest movie releases in history. I mean, GTA is studied in colleges and written about like serious art now, which is wild. I mean, some critics say that it's one of the only mainstream things that actually shows the dark side of the American dream, a messy mirror of how capitalism really works. I mean, that's a lot of pressure for a series that's basically about stealing cars and, you know, other questionable activities. And because GTA 6 sits in this weird spot, it becomes like an inkblot test. You have different groups looking at the same missions, the same jokes, the same characters, and seeing completely different things. I mean, to some people, it'll prove that culture is rotting. Look how numb we are to violence. To others, it'll prove that games are the only honest medium showing how broken everything really is. To worker groups, it's a product built on exploitation. To one side of the culture wars, it's woke garbage. To the other side, it's problematic trash. And to gamers, it's fun. Rockstar has to make the biggest, sharpest, most realistic Grand Theft Auto game ever. At the same time, they can't play it safe. So here's the impossible tightrope that Rockstar is walking. The game has to be huge enough to live up to the hype, edgy enough to deliver for gamers, safe enough to survive the internet mob and the algorithms, and still wild enough to feel like a real GTA game. If they go too edgy, they're reckless and irresponsible. If they hold back, sold out. If they get political, they're preachy. If they avoid politics, they're part of the problem. There's no version of this game that makes everyone happy, and maybe that's the point. Maybe the perfect GTA 6 isn't the one that wins everyone over. It's the one that annoys every group just enough to survive all of them. Because if we can't handle that, if every big game has to be this safe, inoffensive, and perfectly aligned with one side's belief nonsense, then the game's already dead on arrival. Well, maybe not GTA. But can you think of another game or studio that could pull this off? Rockstar built this impossible standard for themselves. Now they have to meet it in the loudest, angriest, and most unforgiving version of the internet we've ever seen. Good luck with that. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is Rockstar's biggest problem with GTA 6? Drop your take in the comments. And if you're hearing my voice right now, congrats, you've made it to the end of the video. Smash that like button. It actually helps a lot. Subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Dusk till dawn, I turn my speakers on. Why they wanna play with the king? I told them meet LeBron. There's darkness in my city, wrong moves, and you won't see the sun. They be talking loud, but never been where the creatures hunt. And bleed for this dream, so why your eyes closed?